We know Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear, and it is said that he had no hair. So Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't fuzzy, was he? Well, with the power of fuzzy skin in your 3D printing slicer, he can be. Phil here in the layer by layer layer. For this video, I'm looking to make the fuzzy skin setting a little less fuzzy. This is a setting that I think gets ignored by many, but it's useful in both cosmetic and functional prints. For cosmetic things, it can add a hairy or textured look, while for functional prints, you can use it to add a textured grip. It can even be used to hide layer lines, but you have to know the right settings and also know what settings to avoid using, lest you risk your print coming off the build plate entirely. But before we get into the details, let's start with what is fuzzy skin and what do all the settings mean? Fuzzy skin is found in the Others section in BambuStudio. There are 3 different controls here. There is the type of fuzzy skin, which is just labeled fuzzy skin, with 5 options: None, Allow Paint, Contour, Contour and Whole, All Walls, and Disabled. It may seem weird that there's an option for both None and Disabled, but the key is in the Allow Paint parenthetical. Disabled means no fuzzy skin ever, while None allows you to paint on fuzzy skin, which we'll discuss more later. The Contour setting only does the outermost wall of the object. The Contour and Hole setting does the outer walls and any holes in the model. Finally, All Walls does every single wall, not just the outer wall, though it's prone to cause collisions and in my opinion is best avoided. Then there are the parameters for fuzzy skin, which are fuzzy skin point distance and fuzzy skin thickness. To get a sense of what point distance and skin thickness change, we'll cut to my super duper high-end graphics. Point distance controls the frequency of the random movement of the print head. The lower the number, the more frequent the movements, because what you are setting is the average distance between those random movements. Thickness represents how much movement occurs at each point. So a higher number makes for more pronounced texture, and a lower number makes for a subtler texture. But what does that actually look like in the real world? To figure it out, I put together a test print of cubes with different settings. For ease of use, each cube is labeled on top with what the settings are. The left number is the point distance, and the right number is the skin thickness. This print profile will be available on MakerWorld at a link in the description if you want to use it yourself. This took a while to put together, but I eventually finished it and discovered a couple of issues. Firstly, the slicer doesn't actually catch if there are collisions with other objects, so I ended up having cubes that were stuck together. And while we know that sticking together is what good waffles do, that isn't the case for separate 3D prints. So I went back in and rearranged everything to get a bit more space, which again took a while. So while I do that, why don't you give this video a like? With the issue of collisions with other objects sorted, a new issue popped up. Some of the cubes are coming off the build plate entirely, sometimes so forcefully that the cube was actually shoved off the edge, or yeeted, as the young people would say 5 years ago. This took several attempts to finally figure out, but the first hint was that it was only impacting the cubes with the 0.1 point distance setting and the larger thickness settings. If you think you know what is happening, pause the video and leave a guess in the comments. Have you left your guess? Well, time's up. The issue ended up being collisions again, but not with other objects. The print head was colliding with the print itself. There was a little clue to this in the slicer. When looking at the problem cubes, you could actually see the path intersecting with the other parts of the object. Testing a single cube showed this in action. After some other tests, I was able to determine which setting caused problems, and so the final test profile has a few items missing from the grid because, well, those settings don't work. So why would you want to print something that's not going to work? With all the print cubes finally figured out, it was time to actually see what these all looked like. I'm going to show a selection of items here in this video, but there will also be a video showing each of the cubes linked below. When looking at the cube with the smallest settings, 0.1 for both point distance and skin thickness, we see a very subtle texture that's almost imperceptible but can still be felt. At the complete other end is the cube with a point distance of 5 and a skin thickness of 1. The lines look haphazard and are long, which you would expect when the point distance is set to 5. Looking at the test cubes may also provide some clarity around what point distance and thickness are actually doing, assuming my incredibly impressive graphics didn't help, by comparing the highest and lowest settings of each without changing the other variable. Keeping a constant point distance of 0.5, the texture is not very pronounced when the thickness is 0.1. However, if we keep the point distance the same, we see that the bumps on the surface become much more pronounced as the thickness goes up. The distance between points is approximately the same, but the peaks and valleys get steeper as thickness increases. We can do a similar comparison where we keep thickness at a steady 0.4 and see that as the point distance increases, the peaks and valleys stay roughly the same, but the distance between those peaks gets larger. I also mentioned earlier that fuzzy skin can hide layer lines, but you have to get the settings right. In my opinion, the layer lines were hidden best with a point distance of 0.5 and a thickness of 0.1, but you can be the judge by looking at the rest of the cubes in the other video, or by printing this out yourself. A final discovery that I came across in this print is that there are some settings that make for a somewhat unpleasant look. In particular, the 0.5 point distance with a thickness set to 1 had a texture that made me kind of uneasy, which could be useful for making monsters with bubbly, cancerous growths or something similar. That's the basics sorted, but there are still a couple of other useful things to know about when it comes to fuzzy skin. The first is painting. Let's take Fuzzy Wuzzy from earlier, which is a model from MakerWorld by Ben Dixon, link in the description. He's a bear with no hair, but we do in fact want to make him fuzzy. Fuzzy skin does the trick, but without painting it looks a little bit weird. His eyes and snout get all fuzzy too. To fix this, we use fuzzy skin painting. You select the object you want to paint in the slicer, and then you select Fuzzy Skin Painting from the top toolbar. Fuzzy Skin Painting has the same tools as color painting, like a brush and a fill bucket. I was able to use this to paint the majority of Fuzzy while keeping it away from his eyes, his paw pads, and his snout, making him just cute as a button. Even with painting though, you can't do fuzzy skin on top of a print. And this can be a bit of a bummer. Take my Minecraft movie creeper that I made. Without a way to have fuzzy skin on top, he would look like a mid-puberty teenager without hair on just part of his leg. And a bald spot. I used a technique that Teaching Tech laid out in his video linked below. He was able to work out that you could set the top pattern to be Hilbert curve while setting the top surface flow ratio to 1.7, causing an over-extrusion on the top. Along with this, you set both point distance and thickness to 0.5. This worked great for my Minecraft creeper, but for this video I decided to go deeper and tried several different combinations, which I would normally be showing you here. However, the settings Teaching Tech came up with are the best, so I decided to save you, though I suppose not me, a bunch of time and just leave it at that. If you want to see the process of making a Minecraft movie creeper, then be sure to check out this video next. Or maybe this video is more what you're looking for. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.